In exercise 5 of module 3, we're going to do some matching. We'll give you assignments, and fortunately they're only used once and everyone has a match. So, good luck, and we'll pause. So in number 1 we have D. To clear fractions, we can multiply both sides of an equation by its lowest common denominator. With direct variation, pairs of numbers have a constant ratio. With inverse variation, pairs of numbers have a constant product. And these are pretty straightforward. This is an inverse variation. And I don't like the way they've written this here. So whenever you write it this way. K over X inverse. KX direct. And then here, this is a jointly, or a joint variation. Okay, we're going to take a look then at this next part, and we will give assignments 7 through 12. You are to state whether it's a direct variation or an inverse variation. And we'll pause. Now, some of these are a little tricky. So let's look at them and see if we can figure something out. Now we said that in direct variation, the equation was always y equals kx. But in inverse variation, we said y equals k over x. Now if we made a graph of direct variation, it would look like this. Things just get bigger and bigger and bigger. Here, if you multiply x and y, k equals the product. So this sort of stays the same always. The graph for direct variation looks like this. The graph for inverse variation looks like so. So, let's see if we can figure this out. 2 painters can scrape a house in 9 hours. 3 painters can scrape the house in 6 hours. So this is an inverse variation because it's just going to be scraping the house. You don't get a bigger house, you don't get lots of houses, it's just one house. And if you were to plot this data, it would look like so. So we're going to use this again. Now, maybe comparing it to this, here's someone plants 5 bulbs in 20 minutes, 7 bulbs in 28 minutes. This is increasing, and if you plot this data, it would just be a straight line. Here, Mia does 2 laps in 7 minutes, 6 laps in 21. Again, plotting it, it's a straight line. So both direct variation. Now here, we're setting up for a show. Is the show going to get bigger or smaller? No, the show is one size. So we have 2 band members working 80 minutes, setting up for the show. 4 members working 40 minutes, setting up for the show. Now notice if you multiply 2 times 80, you get 160. If you multiply 4 times 40, you get 160. So this is sort of a dead giveaway as to what's going on. Now here we're going to do Campus Collection of Toys for Tots. If it took 3 hours for 4 volunteers and 8 volunteers 1.5 hours, can you see that 3 times 4 is 12? And 4 times this is 12. So this is inverse. Here, air conditioning cooled off this much in this much time, this many cubic feet in this much time. If you plot it on a graph, it would be a straight line. So again, some of these are a little tricky, and hopefully thinking about it and looking at these examples will help to gain mastery. And I see I misspoke here. I meant to say 8 times this is 12. And we can also see it over here in example 7. 2 painters can scrape the house in 9 hours. That would, the product of 2 times 9, 18. 3 painters in 6 hours, 18. So again, inverse, inverse, inverse. And that'll wrap it up.